I tried to do something different for the first time and I decided that I would, make my video outside. But I guess during telling myself doing that during the nighttime was not a good idea because those mosquitoes came swarming the fuck out of me. And yeah, that video lasted 1 fucking minute. Took my ass inside. I said, nope. This is exactly why I make my videos inside because ain't no fucking bugs in here other than the big roach you're looking at right now. That's me. Um, so nonetheless, the video that what I want to speak about today is what you offer isn't always what's offered. And like I say, what you give, not like I say, like it's said, what you give isn't always what you receive. And for me, it's like, when I tell you guys, I spent like years of my life alone. And what I mean by alone is like truly alone, like having to just deal with myself here because I've just been in fear that what I'm feeling and how it is for me, it's like it's not something you could bring forth to someone else because especially when it's like when you don't understand what you're going through, how can someone else, you know? That's why for me it's like I've always been here, and even being in a house full of people, I still feel alone. And even being in a room full of friends, I still feel like shut out and just, alone. But you know what? I'll admit, one thing I've got from this loneliness is spending a lot of time with myself. I got to know the person who was always there, and I realized a lot of my strengths, my weaknesses, and some of my capabilities. And one thing that I've realized truly about myself is the love I have. It runs deep inside of me. I feel it coursing through my veins. And my heart, it's just heavy, full of fucking love. But at the same time, with all the love that's there, no matter how big something could be, it could still be fragile. And my heart, I know, like, it's fragile because from the times I've tried to give it out to people who weren't deserving of it, once it broke, like, it wasn't a normal heartbreak for me where like your heart breaks in two and you stitch it up and it comes back to what it once was, except this time, well, you have a scar because now it's stitched. For me, it was more like a fracture. When it was broken, it wasn't just, again, broken in half, it was scattered to pieces. And I feel like when I had to pick up all those pieces and bring it back to what it once was, it was never the same as it was before. And it's like little pieces were left off, and it just, the image that I seen before of it was never the same. And it's what wanted me to protect it even more because I just feel like it's only so much that you can take. And it's really how I feel. And that's why, like, I'm scared. Like, I'm scared of love. That's because, again, I know my capabilities and I know what I'm able to do with it, and I know how much love I have to give, but then it's like to the right person, you both fill each other's glasses, but to the wrong one, you're just giving and you're giving and you're giving until you have nothing left to give. And I don't want to be there again. And like, again, I'm so like intrigued by love because I'm intrigued by things that are new. It's like I want to see another side of myself that's able to be vulnerable and actually, just give someone like love that I have and actually have it reciprocated. I just want to feel love for once. Like, I want to see, like, a family. I feel like a family is meant to love you. But, like, from an outside perspective of, like, a stranger, a stranger isn't obligated to love you. That's why I want to see, could someone from the outside actually love me? But the thing is, I know I'm too much. I know I am. It's not something I've convinced myself. It's just that I know I am. I know the power that I yield in who I am. And it's something that people feel like they can't handle. I know I'm very intense. My emotions run very deeply in me. And I feel like that's what scares people away because sometimes, people start giving me energy. But then it's that when I start reciprocating it and giving a little bit more than what you were giving me, all of a sudden I'm too much. And I should tone it down. And why are you saying this about me? Why are you doing this? And it's like, I was just giving what I thought you were giving me. So it's like, was what I was doing based on delusion, or was it just based on the reality that I thought was in front of me? That's why sometimes I don't know. But it scares me. But the thing about it is, like, I want to conquer that fear and actually try. But then it's like, when I'm trying to protect myself and not fall back into the same place I was before, trying is hard because when you're trying to protect, but then you're trying to try something new, it's like a clash, because if you fuck up, like you really fuck up, and then you bring yourself back to square one. But then if you do it with the right person, it's like you actually take steps and you actually get somewhere. But it's always like a 50-50 chance, and that's why I don't like chasing, because I feel like in the end I'm left empty handed, and that's what I don't like. And it's like, still I want to try and I want to try and I want to try, but it's just that, like, I feel like I have nothing left to give, you know? And it's like, with all the people I've dealt with and how always in the end I end up alone, it's like I feel like I'll never amount up to what someone wants me to be. Like, their ideals of an ideal partner, it's not, like, I feel like I'm not fitting of that description, you know? Even an ideal friend, I feel like in general, I'm too much. And maybe that's why I push myself away too, because I believe that if I just were to isolate and get away from all these people, then like me, I can try my best to deal with myself, but I don't want to force people to have to deal with me and just being who I am, you know? And it's terrifying. It's terrifying. Sometimes I just feel like as long as I'm me, I'll always be alone, because maybe there is no one out there that's able to handle me and just who I am in general. And you know, it's scary being alone, you know? I mean, for a certain amount of time, yeah, you get used to it. But then when you think about your future, it's like, is it always just going to be me here? Like, is it always going to be me sitting here talking to myself, speaking out loud? Is there never going to be someone else lending me their ear to actually hear what I have to say? Stuff like that scares me. Because as much as I'm alone, it's not something that I love, you know? I hate being alone, because it's just like always being here, you know? Sometimes you could be your biggest friend, but then also you could be your biggest enemy, depending on the mindset you're in. And right now, I feel like I've been so numb to any feeling, and even like happiness, it's not worthwhile for me. Like, I could be happy for a little bit, but then it turns to gray immediately. And I go back to being numb, because I always come back to myself, and I just, like, maybe I'm not enough for other people. And you know, that's okay, but it's like, at least if I were enough for myself, like, I can settle down and actually, like, enjoy my own company and be there for myself. But I'll admit it, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't. Sometimes I, like, would just think to myself, you know, like, how would things be if I were someone else? But then it's like, you know, who else would you be? You know, who else? I look around at people, and it's like everybody has their flaws. So it's like, even if I were to put my astral body in someone else's, you know, it wouldn't change the fact that no matter who I was, I would still have flaws and things I have to work on. And it's like me, I just feel like a train wreck of emotion sometimes. Like, I feel like sometimes I truly am, like, just like when I, like, I'll explain it like this, like, fuck, this thing on my elbow is so itchy. When I get like chances to speak up about my feelings, like, it's times that I really utilize to really, like, let everything out, because I don't get a lot of chances to be vulnerable, you know, especially other than my YouTube video. But it's like, it's nice actually. I think a mosquito bit me on my fucking elbow. It's nice actually, like, connecting with someone, you know, sharing energies. But you know, when you're here, it's just like, you know, it's my energy flowing around the room, and it's just coming back to me, and it's coming out, and it's coming back into me. And you know, like, I want to just be with someone and actually enjoy their company. But for me, it's like love isn't just love, you know? Like, for me, it's like you're merging souls, you're being vulnerable, it's about trust. And that's why I'm scared, because it's like I don't know if anybody is able to possess someone like me, because you know, I'll admit everybody has standards, but for me it's like I couldn't just be one of those people where we'd fuck and then we keep fucking or whatever, and then like you just like we stop talking, we break up, and then like we find other people. Because my problem is, even people from the past, I remember all of them. I remember all of them, and sometimes I find them in my dreams, and even people from years ago, like high school. And it's been a long time since I've been in high school, and even sometimes I see them in the back of my mind, and it's like I don't forget people. That's the thing about me, especially if you treated me a certain way and you tried your best to, well, show me a light. But I guess for dark people, there's not really a light other than darkness. But nonetheless, they try to show me something. But for a lot of these people, all I was a realization for, well, who they were and, well, what they could have been. But then you know what is, when they start to sink into my ocean and the water begins to get too deep, they don't attempt to float. The first thing that they think, it's, well, they resort to fight or flight, and they retreat back to what they know, and that's, well, the straight way. And then you know what happens after that? They don't want to swim anymore, and then, well, they push me away, and then I'm left there to drown by myself in the waters that I've provided. I know you might not get it, but that's really how it is for me. And every time I try to be vulnerable again, and it's not like, again, I don't do the chasing thing, because I try to counteract it by telling myself, well, if you don't go looking for things, maybe if someone were to find you, they would realize what they found and want to keep it. But then still, it was a double-edged sword, because both ends I was being stabbed regardless of the decision I made. They came after me, they preyed on me, they chose me, they found that treasure, they picked it up. But then as time went by and they realized how special it was and the power that it held, they realized that it's not something that I want anymore. I thought you were just a treasure that just was going to be a treasure, but with no backstory behind it, no nothing behind it. And then when you start to figure out my lore and who I am and my capabilities, all of a sudden you don't want to look into the unknown anymore, and you just throw me away. And that's what happened every time. Like, every single time, it was the same exact outcome for me. Like, different people, different faces, different names, but the outcome was the same every single time. They show up at my doorstep, I let them in, they destroy my house, and, well, they leave me to clean up the mess that they made. Every time, like, it was like, when I wish it was a lie the way I'm saying it, but it's the truth. Every single time I've experienced the same exact thing, and I told myself, maybe it's because I'm not learning my lesson. The first time it was because I was chasing. I told myself I wouldn't chase anymore. The second time I waited at that door, and then I realized, well, the person who was showing up, they wanted to show up when they wanted to, but when they didn't want you anymore, they didn't want you anymore. And I told myself, well, I will be more picky and I won't allow anybody to just do that again. And then what happened? The next person showed up and I let them in. They showed me a light. They made me think love was true. And then what happened again? Well, they made a mess and they walked right out that door again. And then I was left to clean up another mess. And then it happened 2 more times after that. And the last time was the closest I've ever gotten, and it was the worst time for me because it's what lasted the longest and what destroyed me the most. And it's what brought me back to my past ways with the self-harm and stuff, because it truly destroyed me, because that was the time where I gave everything I had to offer. And now it's like I'm very picky about how I want to maneuver and how much I want to give now, because now when I try to give that 100%, I realize that, well, it's not deserving of everybody. And then when I gave that 100% to the wrong person, you know what I was left with? Zero. I was left with nothing. Depleted energy and having to build myself back up again. And I don't want to experience that again. But still, nonetheless, life is about trying, you know? But if trying means that I'm just going to be shot every time in different parts of my body, I don't know if I can do it anymore. And right now, I've just like been looking for a million different ways a million different ways to stay alive, but I can't even find one, you know. My being isn't enough. My dreams aren't enough. My aspirations aren't enough. The poetry isn't enough. Love isn't enough. Right now, I just feel numb, like nothing is enough for me. And you know, I'm scared that I'm gonna feel like this forever because I don't want to. And I do want to try things that are new, but I'm scared. I'm scared. I crave control, and when I don't know what's in store for me, I get scared. I'm just like a ball of energy, deep emotions, a depth that some people aren't willing to take a step on. But that depth is a part of my whole being, and if you were to see that side of me, it would mean that, well, you mean something to me. And that's even some people, you know. You open up to them thinking, well, they could be true. And then what happens is they take that trust and, well, they step on it and they stomp it out. I feel so blue all the time. And I'm so, no, you couldn't even say I'm sad. Like, I don't feel anything but like remorse for myself and pity. Because, like, when I'm like pitted as the outcast by myself, I just feel like, you know, maybe it's because you're not meant to sit in that group, or maybe it's just because you're different, but not for a good reason, but for a bad one. I don't know what to do anymore, guys. I don't know, like, what to look forward to. I couldn't give you guys any encouraging words when I'm sitting here struggling to even, like, motivate myself to find something to look forward to. I hate feeling this way, but hating it doesn't make it go away, so I just have to sit here and just, well, be me. Because these are all parts about my being that will be with me forever. But for now, you know, all I could do is sit here and just, well, yearn for more, is what it is. And it's sad. It truly is sad.